What if the best romance series you've never watched are better than the ones everyone keeps talking about? While most shows chase perfect love stories, these hidden gems dive into heartbreak, emotional baggage, second chances, and relationships that feel painfully real. Once you start watching, you'll wonder how these series stayed underrated for so long. 1. Scenes from a marriage. Some romance stories are designed to make you believe in love. This one is designed to make you question everything about it. Starring Jessica Chastain and Oscar Isaac, this emotionally layered HBO drama takes a close look at a married couple whose relationship slowly begins to crack under years of emotional pressure. What makes the series stand out is how honest it feels. There are no dramatic villains, no exaggerated twists, and no perfect heroes. Just two people trying to understand each other while struggling with resentment, expectations, ambition, and emotional distance. The dialogue feels incredibly personal, almost like you're sitting in the room with them. Every conversation carries emotional weight, and the chemistry between the lead actors makes every scene feel real and deeply human. Unlike many romance shows that focus only on the excitement of falling in love, this series focuses on what happens after years together. It explores how people grow apart, reconnect, hurt each other, and still somehow remain emotionally tied together. It's thoughtful, emotionally intelligent, and one of the most realistic relationship dramas released in recent years. 2. Something in the Rain. Many romance dramas focus on fantasy. This Korean series focuses on reality. At first glance, the story seems simple. A woman in her 30s reconnects with her best friend's younger brother, and feelings slowly develop between them. But the brilliance of the show lies in how grounded and emotionally mature it feels. Instead of relying on exaggerated misunderstandings or flashy plot twists, the series spends time exploring everyday emotional challenges. Workplace politics, family pressure, social judgment, and personal insecurity all become major parts of the relationship. The chemistry between the leads feels natural and understated, making their connection believable from the very beginning. Their conversations feel like the kind real adults actually have, full of hesitation, warmth, vulnerability, and quiet affection. The pacing is intentionally slow, allowing viewers to fully absorb the emotional journey. Every small moment matters, from shared meals to silent car rides. What truly separates this series from many others is how it portrays adult love as something that requires courage. It shows that relationships are not just about attraction, but also about timing, emotional readiness, and standing up for your choices. 3. The Affair. Very few romance dramas experiment with storytelling the way this series does. The show begins with a relationship between two married people who unexpectedly become emotionally connected. But instead of telling the story from a single perspective, each episode presents events through different viewpoints. One character remembers a conversation one way, while another remembers it completely differently. That structure transforms the series into something far more fascinating than a typical romance drama. It becomes a study of memory, perception, and emotional truth. What makes the show mature is not the affair itself, but the emotional consequences that follow. The series explores guilt, family strain, personal identity, emotional loneliness, and the ripple effects that relationships create over time. Every character feels flawed and deeply human. Nobody is completely right or wrong. The audience is constantly challenged to reconsider assumptions and rethink emotional motivations. The performances are powerful, and the writing remains emotionally sharp throughout the series. Rather than glamorizing relationships, the show examines how complicated people can be when emotions, regrets, and desires collide. It's emotional storytelling aimed at viewers who appreciate layered characters and morally complex situations. 4. Love Life. This anthology series quietly became one of the most relatable modern romance shows in recent memory. Each season follows a different character through multiple relationships across different stages of adulthood. The first season stars Anna Kendrick, while the second features William Jackson Harper. What makes the show work so well is its honesty. Not every relationship is dramatic or life-changing. Some are awkward, some are temporary, some teach painful lessons, others arrive at exactly the right moment. The series captures how people evolve emotionally over time. The person you date in your early 20s is very different from the person you need in your 30s. As careers, friendships, priorities, and personal confidence shift, relationships change too. The writing balances humor and emotion beautifully. 5. Meet Yourself. Some romance stories move fast. This one takes its time, and that's exactly why it works. After experiencing personal loss and emotional exhaustion from city life, the main character leaves her demanding career behind and moves to a peaceful rural village. There she slowly reconnects with herself while forming new friendships and an unexpected romantic connection. The show is beautifully calm. Instead of relying on constant conflict, it focuses on healing, emotional recovery, and meaningful human connection. The romance develops naturally through conversations, shared experiences, and mutual understanding. There's no rush, which makes the relationship feel authentic and emotionally rewarding. One of the most refreshing things about the series is how it portrays adulthood. The characters are tired, uncertain, and emotionally complicated. They're trying to rebuild their lives while questioning what truly makes them happy. The cinematography is stunning, filled with warm natural scenery and peaceful village life that creates an almost therapeutic viewing experience. This is not a series built around dramatic twists. It's about emotional comfort, personal growth, and finding connection during difficult periods in life. 6. Love and Anarchy. At first, this Swedish series seems playful and light-hearted, but underneath the humor is a surprisingly thoughtful exploration of identity, adulthood, and emotional dissatisfaction. The story follows a married consultant who begins an unexpected flirtation with a younger IT technician after they start challenging each other through playful dares. What begins as harmless fun gradually forces both characters to confront deeper emotional truths about their lives. The show mixes sharp humor with emotional vulnerability in a way that feels modern and intelligent. It explores workplace culture, personal freedom, societal expectations, and the pressure to appear successful even when feeling emotionally disconnected. The chemistry between the leads is strong because it feels rooted in emotional curiosity rather than fantasy. Their relationship becomes less about excitement and more about confronting the parts of themselves they've ignored for years. What makes the series memorable is how unpredictable and emotionally honest it becomes. It questions traditional ideas about adulthood and asks whether people are truly living the lives they want or simply following expectations. It's stylish, emotionally smart, and filled with moments that feel surprisingly relatable. 7. Starstruck romantic comedies often rely on unrealistic fantasy, but this series manages to feel charming while staying grounded in reality. The story follows a young woman living an ordinary life in London who unexpectedly discovers that her one-night stand is actually a world-famous actor. While the premise sounds familiar, the execution feels fresh because the show focuses less on celebrity fantasy and more on emotional compatibility. The writing is sharp, funny, and emotionally aware. The lead character feels refreshingly realistic, dealing with career uncertainty, financial struggles, awkward conversations, and emotional insecurity. The relationship itself is complicated by the imbalance between their lifestyles. One person lives under constant public attention, while the other is trying to survive everyday adult responsibilities. The series handles those differences thoughtfully, rather than turning them into exaggerated drama. The humor feels natural and conversational, giving the show a relaxed charm that makes it easy to binge-watch. What truly makes the series stand out is its emotional maturity. Beneath the comedy is a thoughtful story about vulnerability, timing, and learning how to let yourself be loved despite fear and insecurity. 8. Normal People. This series became widely praised for its emotionally raw storytelling and deeply realistic portrayal of young adulthood. Following Marianne and Connell from high school into university and early adulthood, the story examines how emotional connection can survive despite miscommunication, insecurity, and changing circumstances. What makes the series feel mature is the emotional honesty of its characters. They struggle with mental health, loneliness, social pressure, self-worth, and the inability to communicate what they truly feel. Rather than relying on dramatic speeches, the series often communicates emotion through silence, body language, and subtle interactions. The chemistry between the leads feels incredibly natural, making every emotional moment feel authentic. The show also handles intimacy with unusual sensitivity and realism. Relationships are portrayed as emotionally significant rather than purely dramatic. As the characters grow older, the series becomes less about romance alone and more about emotional timing. Sometimes people deeply care about each other but still struggle to make a relationship work because life keeps pulling them in different directions. It's emotional, beautifully written, and one of the most honest portrayals of connection and growing up in recent television. 9. Catastrophe. Most romance stories build toward marriage or starting a family. This one begins there. After a brief encounter leads to an unexpected pregnancy, an American businessman and an Irish schoolteacher decide to try building a relationship together despite barely knowing each other. The result is one of the funniest and most emotionally truthful relationship comedies ever made. What makes the series so refreshing is how direct and honest it feels. The characters argue, make mistakes, become overwhelmed, and struggle with parenting, careers, exhaustion, and personal insecurities. Yet despite the chaos, their connection feels genuine. The humor is sharp and realistic, often finding comedy in the everyday frustrations of adulthood. The couple's chemistry works because they feel like real people navigating real responsibilities rather than idealized television characters. The series also understands that long-term relationships require effort, patience, forgiveness, and humor. Romance isn't presented as a magical solution. It's something built gradually through shared experiences and emotional resilience. Few shows balance emotional depth and comedy this effectively. 10. A Discovery of Witches. Fantasy romance often focuses on younger characters discovering dramatic supernatural worlds. This series takes a far more mature approach. The story follows a historian and a scientist whose lives become connected through ancient magical secrets and political conflict between supernatural groups. What immediately makes the series feel different is the intelligence of its main characters. Their relationship develops through intellectual respect, emotional trust, and shared curiosity rather than impulsive attraction alone. The show blends romance, history, mystery, and fantasy in a way that feels sophisticated and atmospheric. The characters face complicated decisions involving loyalty, identity, responsibility, and power. The relationship itself feels emotionally balanced. Both characters challenge and support each other while navigating larger external conflicts. Visually, the series is elegant and cinematic, with beautiful locations and richly detailed world building. But the emotional core remains focused on trust, partnership, and emotional connection between two adults trying to protect the people they care about. For viewers who enjoy supernatural elements but want something more emotionally grounded and mature, this series is a perfect choice. Romance stories don't always need grand gestures, dramatic betrayals, or fantasy worlds to feel powerful. Sometimes the most unforgettable love stories are the quiet ones about emotional growth, difficult choices, timing, communication, and the effort required to truly understand another person. These series stand out because they treat relationships with honesty and emotional intelligence. They show love not just as excitement, but as patience, healing, compromise, vulnerability, and personal growth. Whether you prefer emotionally intense dramas, witty relationship comedies, slow burn storytelling, or thoughtful fantasy worlds, these shows offer something deeper than traditional romance formulas. If you've been searching for romance series that feel more mature, grounded, and emotionally rewarding, these hidden gems deserve a place on your watch list.